I do want to say, as far as the tabs, remember we listen and we watch, but we do not judge, okay? I know some of you are like, one tab only. I'm a multi-tab person. So, Miss Washington, don't judge me on my tabs, okay?
Would never.
All right. So when we talk about just kind of being a rep, an elected rep, because number one, we want to make sure that we are having those elections, right, at our sites. So making sure that we're adhering to that, that those elections are taking place, and that you are an official, like elected, representative, site representative. So the first thing, as we're going through this, is just making sure that you're regularly attending those rep council meetings and the general membership meetings. Rep council meetings are the third Tuesday of every month at the CEA office, 333 South Santa Fe Ave. See, Kristen, I got that address down. I'm regular now, right? Um, so they start at 4 p.m. sharply and promptly. So just we've kind of restructured what the rep council meeting looks like, and we'll talk about this throughout. But giving opportunities for clusters to get together and look at issues that are deeply and widely felt and held to address those. So taking more of an organizing approach with our rep council meetings. So that goes back to just participating in those meetings and activities in support of the association programs and what that looks like. Um, Now, the third bullet here is going to be very important. So discussing important issues and sharing the views and input of bargaining unit members at your site. Um, when you're at that rep council meeting. Now, in order to share those important issues and the shared views, um, what are some things going to have to happen? Number one, you got to be having a one-on-one conversation with those members, right? And let me go back to a rep has two qualities. Number one, they're trusted and respected amongst their colleagues. And so just really making sure that the individual that you elect is a trusted and respected individual. That's going to be key because people then trust them enough to come with their issues or get involved in it because organizing and unionism is relational. So, in order to discuss those important issues and share those shared views, you got to be having those one-on-one conversations with those bargaining unit members. Um, that also looks like having your monthly 10-minute monthly meetings. Those 10-minute meetings are truly 10 minutes. And have them set in kind of stone that you know. So, for instance, Rep Council is the third Tuesday of every month. You might have your 10-minute meeting on that third Wednesday so that you or third Thursday so that you can give the information back, or you can have it before you come to Rep Council so that you are very privy and knowledgeable of those concerns and issues coming forth. Um, the fourth one here, where we talk about serves as the official channel through which communication and publications can be easily transmitted between the association and the site rep. And we're going to talk about some issues, some ways or methods that responsibility doesn't always necessarily fall on your shoulders as the site rep, because it is important that everyone is involved in their union. So we're really pushing the narrative that we're no longer third partying your union. This is when people say, what is CEA doing? You ask the question, I don't know, what are you willing to do, right? Or what are you doing? Because this is our union. Serves as an advocate for the bargaining unit members at their site, which includes assisting with filing grievances and in disciplinary meetings with management. Now, this one is key. As an elected official, I want to either educate you or inform you that you do have parity with your site administrator. And so let's say, for instance, Justin is the bargaining unit member and Kristen is the site rep. If Justin has a disciplinary meeting or a grievance, that's going to be my first point of contact. Um, I will shout out, well, not necessarily shout out the name of a person, but there was an incident where a member was placed on paid admin leave. And I went to the district and they had called the teacher in, the bargaining unit member in, and was told you only talk to your union rep. And guess who that particular member mentioned very first, the first point of contact, right? It was not at this time President Luevanos. No, it was the site rep. And so I had, like, you would have thought I was a kid in a candy shop at that moment because that meant that site rep had that first point of contact and also had established a relationship with their colleagues. And so just making sure that you have that relationship so that you are that first point of contact. Because again, you know the site best than myself. You also know the kids there, the issues there. You live, breathe, and eat that every day, right? Um, and so that's why it's important to understand that you have parity with your site administrator and what that looks like when you're repping. I have done some repping where the actual site rep has kind of sat in and shadowed or observed kind of how I rep. But again, that looks like you kind of serving as an advocate. So that might be asking additional questions, kind of delving in. And I'll be honest, sometimes it might be you actually quieting down the member because I'm also a former educator. And there were times like I wanted to tell my full story, right? And give more information than what was needed in that case. And so sometimes we kind of have to do that little tap on the table, and let them know, hey, not so much this time on this one, okay? So that's a part of just kind of being a rep. Um, Conducting regular site elections and polls of the membership. So, for instance, if there's something that we're discussing or going through, I want you to feel comfortable enough having the conversations and asking your members, what is it that you want? How does this impact um, let me see, I'm going to try to come up with a campus, Compton High, right? How does this impact Compton High School? How will this impact Compton High? And we want to know specifically in that regard. So if you're the rep for that particular site, you're bringing that knowledge into uh, the space, and those members' voices are continuously being heard. I'm going to scroll down a little bit. Conducting regular meetings to share information. We've already talked about having those 10-minute monthly meetings. And remember, they are 10 minutes, not to last 30 or so, 45 minutes. Literally a 10-minute meeting. That is a snapshot. And also making yourself readily accessible that if members have questions, they can always come back to you. Now, this is the part where I become a little judgy-wudgy, right? This next part says maintains association bulletin board at the school site. Now, I love a good bulletin board, right? So when I come into your site and I'm visiting, that's the first thing I'm looking for because where do teachers hang out? Typically, in the teacher's lounge, or they actually go through there maybe to the restroom or grab their Coca-Cola or something like that. And so having that information blasted and plastered up on the wall on your bulletin board is key as well, right? So keeping that updated so that members can kind of read those snapshots as well. This next one is going to be key too, recruiting new members and new leaders. So when you have those new staff members, that bargaining unit members that come into your site, you're going first point to introduce yourself, right? Hey, my name is Justin. I'm the rep here at this site, the union rep. But if you need anything, whether it's professional support or something from the union, please feel free to reach out to me, right? Educating bargaining unit members about their rights. So that might look like maybe pulling excerpts of the contract out and educating folks around that, right? So for instance, and it might be key times. So we know in the spring, which is where like transfers and I'll just use transfers for instance. That may be a part that you just kind of go through real quick with your members in 10 minutes and say, hey, I just want to make you aware of where this language is and which articles it pertains to transfers so that they can assess it, more readily. Um, Basically going through grievances, knowing the grievance process, which is kind of spelled out there in the contract as well. And I'll be honest, you do not have to know all of this stuff right here in your head. It's going to be really key. Control F is going to be your friend that you can always search for exactly what your members ask for. Or you can have your hard copy. I'm more of a tab, hard copy, kind of writing some notes in my contract as well. And if that's what works best for you, by all means do that. Um, Definitely like the level one grievances, that would be key for a site rep. The timelines around grievances, but also here's a key part, especially where we are in CEA right now, is the direct contact with members regarding bargaining, grievances, membership, and organizing. Those are going to be key places where you want to be able to have those one-on-one conversations and where folks can come to you and have those conversations as well. And then the member communication, I envision this as a former site rep. Let's say Kristen is at my site. I'm going to ever so often, especially at the beginning of the year, because everybody doesn't think about this, that when their information changes, that their union is the first place to update. So I'm going to go around and say, hey, Kristen, is this still your email? Is this still your cell phone number? Because and make sure when you ask about emails that it's a personal email address, right? Not their work email, but their personal email. And I know folks are sometimes reluctant or apprehensive about sharing that, but that's why it's imperative that the site rep is a trusted individual and you're not using that for outside information, right? You're only using that to communicate union business. The next one says a buddy system to pair up new and veteran staff. Ultimately, we have a vested interest in our new members to make sure they maintain their membership, but also they are retained here in the district, their retention rate, right? And so it's important to partner them up and say, hey, this is going to be your buddy. Um, Contacting those new bargaining unit members at the beginning of the year and then educating them about some of the benefits as well of belonging to their union. Always present the union as it's our union. It's you're part of this union. And then maintaining site unit member contact information that relays and then relaying that information back to membership chair, committee chair. Now, I know the question is, oh my gosh, Justin, this is a lot. Are you expecting me to do this by myself? And the answer to that is absolutely not. Right? Um, I know as a rep, I had my team where I had a person, I might say, hey, Miss Washington, I know you're not interested in like maybe a rep right now, but would you be okay with just stuffing the boxes with like maybe a handout or a flyer that we're doing? Because we got some events coming up, they're pretty cool. Or, hey, Miss Washington, you or I'll say Miss Grandy, right? Because I know what she teaches. Miss Grandy, you teach SPED. In your SPED meetings, do you mind having a conversation with about this particular piece in your SPED group, right? Like amongst your SPED colleagues. And so it's okay to create that support team that supports you in getting this work done. We cannot do this solo um, because it is a lot of work sometimes, right? And we all have those other responsibilities, but never be afraid to create your team that whether it's by departments, because I know sometimes in high schools, depending on the size of it, you might not even see some of your colleagues on a daily basis, right? And so it's important to create that team so that you are kind of a shared responsibility. Now, I've taken up enough time sharing out information, but I want to entertain questions at this time so that you all feel supported and know how to either identify yourself as a rep or my ask to you is going to be, folks at other sites, right? And so for me, making that call and saying, hey, are you interested in being a rep over there at such and such campus? Because it's not as much work as I think people put it out to be. And you actually might be a really good person to advocate for us over there, right? And so thinking about that. So I'll open the floor up for questions at this time if you have any.
I'm going to stop the recording just so questions and stuff can be, you know,
Yep.